work for the Cybercom group. I think most of you have never heard about it. My company is doing software development and consulting and hosting business. And that's what my business is doing. We were in the process of okay, let's start with this. IPv6 has been around for a while now. It's quite major protocol and it's not going away. And it's about time to get going and learn. Okay? And we had a good opportunity for IPv6 when we were doing a major transition on our production system. We were going to renumber our public IP addresses. We obtained new provider independent addresses, and in that process we obtained also IPv6 PI addresses. And now we are running a BGP multi-home IPv6 configuration. And since we are a hosting provider, we chose the dual stack approach. Actually, none of the other approaches made any sense. And we chose this stage by stage way. First DNS, then the hardware, and find out what is the support level of IPv6 on the different boxes we have. And we found out that the routers and firewalls and etc. we currently have, they actually support IPv6 quite well. We don't need all this fancy and difficult stuff that you need when you are providing access to end users. On a data center environment, it's actually much easier. That's something I have learned today. It seems very, very hard. We are using Extreme networks for switches, and Juniper for firewalls and routers, and load balancers are F5. And our mainstream platform is Red Hat Linux. Ubuntu is used on many workstations and so on, but not so much on servers. And to our my opinion about this is that the OS support is very good and very few bugs found, but the application support is, should I say, a bit convoluted. Some applications support IPv6 right out of the box, and others may need some leading edge versions. So just your favorite Linux distribution does not have the version you should have if you want to support IPv6. And the most important lesson for IPv6 is that don't use stateless auto configuration on servers. I think it's just don't do it. And additionally, please use one IPv6 address for each service. We are talking about role business. It's much easier to move the services from one server to another. Actually, we are doing that in IPv4 world already because we are using private addresses internally. It's a good idea. And the second lesson was that, okay, we have to redo about everything, routing and access control. And software configuration mostly. The right side is that on IPv4 you might have two small subnets, or you might have some stupid routing decisions made before your time, and you're stuck with it. But when you have IPv6, your routing decisions are completely different. And actually you may build a slightly different routing topology with IPv6. I mean that you are still stuck with your L2, but you can build your new L3 a bit differently. But that also means that you have to document it as well. Otherwise you are just having more problems. We have chosen to use always /64 subnets. Just didn't make any sense to use something else. Even that we are not using address auto configuration, but still it's a standard, and I think it's the safest way to configure your network hardware. But you are always using this standard subnet size. Otherwise, you might be prone to discover some exciting new ones, or just it doesn't support anything. Okay, this is something we have talked about today. Most operating systems have IPv6 enabled by default, and that means that any RA packet will enable the IPv6 so that the operating system thinks that, oh, I have a working IPv6 now, I can use it. And if you don't, you're done. So when you are rolling out IPv6 support, you have to triple check your configuration, because if you just happen to configure the wrong subnet first and start sending RA packets, then all the hosts are thinking, I have this prefix and it should work. Oops, I meant actually another prefix. And okay, you have dozens of hosts that have wrong IP addresses. Not good. It's either a reboot party or lots of other manual work. And then there was some bugs in operating systems and network devices, and those were no big deal, and they have been fixed. And this, all this address translation thing, because it should not be needed on IPv6. What happens if you have some role addresses in your internal web networks and you just want to have a virtual addresses that is published in DNS for the global internet, but you still want to hide your internal implementation when you are out of luck. Okay, mostly you have a load balancer, and that fixes the problem. And also, the load balancers are good in protocol conversion. We are using this F5 big IP, and it will run just fine. So that you will use private IPv4 addresses at your internal network and have your web servers running only IPv4. And your load balancer will provide all this stuff on IPv6. That's what we are using on Iltalehti today. And the other approach we are using is reverse proxy. That's called Nginx. And that's what we are using on MTV3. There's something else to consider. Actually, even if you can keep IPv6 on the edge, protocol-wise, it doesn't really stop there, because you will have logs. So matrix if you are a responsible company and you have some issues, you just have to resolve with the officials. Okay, there are some laws, police, all this stuff. And the other question is that when you are using a production environment where you have a firewall and you have the load balancers, I think most people are just connecting the load balancers to the same VLAN where the servers are, and no firewall in between. And this means that usually you need to configure your host so that the firewall is your default route. This means that you need to use source NAT in your load balancer, and then you will have a problem, because all your access lists and access logs will contain only the IP addresses of your load balancers. And this leads to the next question. You may use some fancy techniques like HTTP header injection. We are using that one. And then we have a fancy little module in the HTTP server that is looking at the header, the HTTP header, and then it will counterfeit the IP address in the internal data structures of your HTTP server, so that the HTTP server will only see the real IP address of the user. Even when on the network level, the IP address is from the load balancer. Okay, did you follow me? Okay. And this one must support IPv6, even when you are talking IPv4 really. But the injected header will be IPv6 first. Actually, we had to do a one-line modification with source code. It was a really easy fix. It had to be done. And there may be lots of small problems, some applications or faults or GGI scripts and so on. And then there's this curious case of using equal cost multipath for load balancing servers. We are just misusing something that is meant only for transit purposes. It works, but it will break your MTU discovery. And there are a couple of ways to fix this. One is just use a low MTU so that you will not have the symptoms. Or use DNS round robin for load balancing and routing protocols for hypervariability. This is viable for IPv6, then you can have as many addresses as you like. But on IPv4, you will have to use as many IP addresses as you have nodes. I mean the content nodes that are running HTTP servers times the amount of your customers if you are doing any kind of accounting and billing based on the traffic amount. And then you have to use lots of IP addresses. And that's why we are actually not using that approach yet.
So by customer you mean hosted customer website, not eyeballs?
Yes, exactly. The people who are reading these sites, they are our customers, they are end users. So that's the common thing with drug dealers and us, we are talking about users.
So you are a pusher?
Yeah. Yeah, and these are the websites that I've been talking about. Those are actually completely IPv6 enabled. Have been sold since the IPv6 day. Actually, the top 3 most popular websites in Finland, those 2 are in there. So 2/3.
It's interesting because I did the same statistic I do for Sweden, and all the 10 Swedish most popular websites are V6 enabled because they're all Google.
Well, actually, yeah, the top 3 he was actually talking about was Finnish websites. That list didn't have international countries.
Yeah, I was using Alexa statistics.
Yeah.
The top 10 Alexa sites are all Google.
Yeah, but then again, for Finland, top 20 are V6.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. I'm sorry.
Any questions?
How much IPv6 traffic do you have when compared to IPv4?
The IPv6 traffic accounts for something like 0.42%. Actually, it's something like that.
So just after half of this, under half.
Yeah. Something like 4 to 6 megabits per second. Okay, the curve is rising and dying constantly.
So there's a single user.
There are a couple of large student networks in Finland that are IPv6 enabled. In Espoo and in Lappeenranta.
There was another question.
Yeah, you talked about the bag in Red Hat.
Sorry?
You talked about the bag of IPv6 in Red Hat.
Yeah, but I haven't been able to reproduce the situation anymore. And I think it has been fixed on later releases. We had it a couple of times, but it just went away.
So he was mentioning that that these 2 websites are in the top 3 of the Finnish websites.
Yeah, in TNS metrics. Statistics.
Right. And basically, I guess they are. Even if you go to Alexa, if you only select Finnish companies where Google and Yahoo are, then you'll probably get the same statistics as TNS. Anyway. I'm plugging you. Your company also hosts a lot of the top 20 or the top 100 websites.
Yeah.
And some of them may have, something already IPv6 enabled. I understand all the.
No.
I think all the MTD websites use this img.mtd3.
Maybe, yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
So most of those websites already also have some IPv6 enabled, but not solely. But I understood that you are committed to enable all the ones that are.
The rest of them. Yeah.
All the hundreds and thousands of them.
Not so many. a couple.
Couple hundred.
Two or three dozens.
Right. 2 or 3 dozen. Okay. Well,
he has a question.
Just quick question. Do you have any statistics about how many end users have problems with IPv6 enabled on your side?
I don't have any statistics, but we had one lengthy discussion with one. And that's how we discovered this path into the problem.
And I also understand that your help desk has, even though you've been running this for several months, you still haven't gotten apart from that one.
Only one.
So
one record.
And it was resolved.
Yeah. So what that means is that Finnish ISPs aren't supporting IPv6.
Sorry, you're wrong. It works fine.
I want to be proved wrong.
I have ADSL at home.
Come to my office on Monday.
Please, IPv6.
Yeah, it works fine. All those. Brilliant. No problem.
Yeah, Office is one thing, but all the things that end users are at home.
Home ADSL.
My home ADSL was fine.
Okay, so there is one operator sitting over here that supports, but they are sitting in the shadows. They want to. They don't want to be identified.
Ei se ole kerran. Ei se ole palvelurit puolelle kuitenkaan.
Thank you.
So, a soft thanks again, and then.
I'm sorry.